Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host. My name is David Almeida. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I sit down with an actor or artist friend. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Then I hit record. We get to talking about the show, about anything else it might inspire us to talk about, and hopefully it is fun. My guest this week is Sarah Hanchar. Sarah is a very amazingly talented, funny actress, comedian, improviser, singer. She is a former Orlando performer, but she now resides in Seattle. So she is appearing on the show courtesy of the wonderful technology called Skype that all the kids apparently are using now. Sarah is also a fellow podcaster. We talk about her show on the show, and I hope you might give it a listen. It's called Hi, I Think You're Nice. Before we start, I do need to give a shout out to my new Patreon supporter, Richard P. Hi, Richard. Thank you so much. If you want to be like Richard, support the show, you can go to patreon.com/facethefactspod. If you don't choose to support the show, that is also perfectly okay. I promise I still love you. So, this week, Sarah and I watched Season 4, Episode 10, For the Asking, and its original air date was December 15th, 1982. I think we're ready to jump on in, kids. Let's face the facts with Sarah Hanchar. Ladies and gentlemen, the happy pink girl herself, live by satellite, directly from the future, where I am learning we can talk, video, see each other, and record it at the same time. Technology is really interesting. It's Sarah Hanchar!
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Woo-woo!
I'm so happy to have you here. It is, I love your podcast. You have a lovely show called Hi, I Think You're Nice.
Oh, thank you.
It is such a sweet show, and you have such fun guests. And you've had some Orlando guests from your old days. This is your old stomping ground.
Yes, I did used to stomp around Orlando quite a bit. Lived there for about 8 years and made some of the best friends of my whole life. Did some of my favorite shows of my whole life. I need to get you on the show, David, because I think you're nice.
I would love to be. Oh, I think you're nice, too. I would love to do the show.
Yay.
But I'm thrilled that you are doing this and you were game to be a part of Let's Face the Facts.
Yeah.
So I assume you did your homework.
I did.
And you watched the episode, Season 4, episode, was it 10?
Yes, I believe you're right. It was For the Taking, which I'm like, whoa, that's intense.
I thought it was For the Asking.
Oh, For the Asking. Never mind. That's much less intense.
Yeah. I'm just going to take it.
Taking.
Or you could ask for it. That's my Mrs. Garrett impression, by the way.
It's so good.
You will be asked to do yours at some point.
Oh, dear.
Yes, indeed. So you did watch the episode?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Did it bring up any of the feels? Did it bring up memories? Did you ever watch the show?
I actually, I wanted to come out honestly about this. I never watched the show originally because I was but a babe, but and I didn't see it in reruns. And you know what? It's a great show, David. It's so good.
It is. So I always like to start my show by asking my guest if you would please give me just a quick 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the show, just like what you might see in TV Guide. What did you and I watch?
Okay, so we watched an episode where it was a Sadie Hawkins Day dance at the old... Not where the ladies went to school, but where the boys went to school. Bakersville. Nope, that's
Bates
not it.
Academy.
Bates Academy was having a Sadie Hawkins Day dance, and the cutie pies over there told the ladies, "Hey, if you want to go, it's you get to ask us." And then there were lots of emotions and feelings and variations of feminism on the hot takes on the Sadie Hawkins Day dance, and the ladies had various adventures dealing with that. Some excited, some crazed, some a little confused, and all delightful.
Nice. Wonderful. Thank
Yay.
you so much for that.
Of course.
So then at this point, then I start like microscopically analyzing
Good.
the episode. So the episode begins in the kitchen. Joe comes downstairs and the girls are all looking out of that, I call it the order window. It's the sliding door, like, Vera, pick up on Alice or something.
Yeah.
It's like a weird sliding door that only occasionally exists, but isn't always there.
But helpful for this case, because that's the
yes.
perfect window for snooping.
Yeah, exactly. And that is precisely what the girls are doing. And Joe says, "What are you doing? What are you looking at?" And the girls are like, "Oh, nothing." And they quickly scatter like cockroaches. Well, it turns out, Sarah, you tell me, what is going on in the other room that is of such great interest to the girls?
Well, there are boys in the other room, David. I mean, boys. Have you even heard of them? Look at, he's looking around. Yeah.
I don't know. What a boy. What is a boy?
What is a boy even?
Me only simple jungle princess. What means this word kiss? Yeah. But the boys are there for what purpose?
Oh, well, that's the thing. They don't know, right? They're having some sort of meeting with old what's her face, Mrs. Marple. Nope.
Mrs. Garrett.
Mrs. Garrett. I'm so sorry.
No,
people who
do
love
not
the show are gonna be
apologize.
so pissed.
No, you are. Your personality, you are so freaking sweet and charming. The fact that it's hilarious.
Oh,
It's
well,
just hilarious.
thank you.
Mrs. Garrett is planning with the boys the upcoming dance happening that following Saturday night. And what kind of a dance is it?
And that is where we discover it is the Sadie Hawkins Day dance. And the girls, they had no idea what that was.
I forget who it is specifically that doesn't know what a Sadie Hawkins Day dance is. But somebody does quickly step in and say, well, it's named after the character of Sadie Hawkins in the comic strip Lil Abner.
Lil Abner. I'm like,
Lil.
oh, man.
Did you know that? I didn't know that's where Sadie Hawkins came from.
I did not know that. I was a big fan of that show. My brother was in it in middle school, and I remember I went to every showing of it. I thought it was the greatest show ever on earth.
And here's the connection to it. The original Broadway cast. Guess who was Mammy Yoakum? Charlotte Rae, who plays Mrs. Garrett. She was the original Broadway Mammy Yoakum, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So that's the connection to it. The thing with the Sadie Hawkins Day dance is, according to Wikipedia, it has been happening since, apparently in the comic strip, they named a Sadie Hawkins Day. And because I think she might be the prototype for the Yahoo, a man character that would later infiltrate every cartoon ever made.
Sure.
But I think she's the man-chasing, forceful female character. And one could argue feminist.
Yeah.
But that
Sex
happened
positive, anyway.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Lay
Do
your
it.
kink
Get
cards
it.
on the table, girl.
Yeah.
But it started in 1937 is when the event happened. Sadie Hawkins Day was declared in the comic strip, and it was this day that all the women went nuts and basically, went around and molested the men for a change. And then the idea of naming a dance, a Sadie Hawkins Day dance, that started as early as 1938.
Oh, wow.
So the Sadie Hawkins Day concept has been around for 44 years at the point of this episode in 1982.
Yeah.
And yet the girls, and I don't remember when I learned it or when I didn't learn it or whatever, but it's like, okay, whatever, maybe they don't all know, but let's teach them that. And that is what it is. The idea is a Sadie Hawkins dance is the dance where the girls ask the boys.
Yeah.
We, in the course of learning about the dance and meeting the boys who are in the cafeteria with Mrs. Garrett, we have to take a moment to stop and discuss the actors playing the boys. There are bunches of them. There's a few, maybe 6 or 8 of them. It seems like there were quite a few.
There were quite a few around that tiny table.
Yeah, but only 2 of them spoke. There is one called Boy Number 1.
Ah, yes.
And his name is Mark Jefferson is the actor. He's the African-American young man that Tootie, I think, kind of follows out.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, he has literally well, come on, let's get going, guys. It was just the garden variety. That's why he's boy number one and didn't have a
Classic
name.
boy number one move. Come on,
That
guys,
is
let's get out of here.
That is so him, isn't
That
it?
is so him. He just loves to get out of places and tell people where to go. That's him. That's our guy.
So, he was in the 1983 movie Max Dugan Returns, never to be heard from again.
No, really?
He got out of the biz, man. It was getting too rough.
Yeah. I get it, though, honestly.
I mean, if we could, we would. That's,
but we can't.
That's
We
how it
can't.
is. No, we're damaged. We're broken people.
And this is where we belong. It's our life.
So then the other boy is the important one. This is the boy that Natalie has a crush on and that all the girls are kind of poking at her about the fact that she has a crush on this boy named Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Ben is played by Brian Robbins. And I did not know or recognize who this boy was, so I Googled him. He is not just the actor who would go on to be the role of Eric Mardian on Head of the Class, the leather jacket wearing tough guy on Head of the Class. He was in every episode. That's it. It's after my time too. I don't know it either.
Okay.
But after, so Head of the Class, that's like 100 and something episodes. Like that's a payola. If he saved his money, he was set.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you go
but
into
here's the deal.
syndication, get those residuals. Ooh, ooh.
Fuck yeah. Brian Robbins, putting aside his acting credits, he has 94 producing credits.
Oh.
Most of them executive producer, including things like The Amanda Show, Arliss, One Tree Hill.
Oh my gosh.
He has
okay.
a lot of shows under his belt as a producer, and he also directed and executive produced the Eddie Murphy comedy Norbit.
Oh my God.
Which is a multiple Razzie Award-winning comedy. But I'm going to give a little reading here from Wikipedia.
Okay.
On June 7th, 2017, Brian Robbins became the president of Paramount Players, a newly formed division of Paramount Pictures. He will work with Viacom's Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, and BET brands to generate projects while also focusing on contemporary properties.
Well.
That was in June of 2017. But he left that job in 2018 because, as of today, he is the president of Nickelodeon.
Say what?
This boy in this episode who played Ben, honey, we need to get our headshots and our resumes to him. He could fucking hire us.
Yes.
He's
oh my
very
God, Ben,
powerful
way to go.
television executive producer and entertainment leader. Good for him.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, wow. That's a smart route, man. If you have the brain for it and you have the stomach for it to go the producer route and do all of that on that business side, man.
Yeah.
That's a smart move.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I just have to point that out before we continue. So
Sure.
While he is there, Ben, Natalie is kind of trying to say hi to him and kind of trying to engage in conversation, and he is not giving her the time of day.
No.
He is
No.
almost borderline rude. I was like, dude.
Yeah, that
Natalie's-
shoulder was cold. That was
Yeah.
a cold shoulder.
Yeah, I get it. Natalie is not the archetypical pretty girl like a Blair or whatever, but Natalie's fun and affable, and who wouldn't want to be Natalie's friend? Jesus, what's the matter with you? Fuck that guy.
I think everyone casts themselves, right? When I
Yeah.
told my cousin I was doing this episode with your show, she's like, "Oh, I was such a Joe," and then like most people wanted to be Blair, and I'm like, "Oh, I am a staunch Natalie," I would say.
Most gay boys will also say they're staunch Natalies because of being the sort of odd one out, the one that, three of these things go together and one of these things is a little bit different appearance-wise, even though they never made fat jokes about her. Never.
That's something I
ever.
noticed, and I'm so glad because that's such an easy and lame crutch. Like the fat phobia stuff is like what you see on Friends. And it's so gross and it's so mean and it's not funny. It's never funny because it's so mean and pointless. And you're like, well, really great joke. That took a lot of brain. Like, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that Natalie is just different, and everyone just shuts up about it.
Yeah. I'm not saying they don't make food jokes about her. They
Oh,
do
okay.
kind of, the closest they come is she does make a lot of jokes involving food.
Mm-hmm.
And also because she's Jewish, there are times where she goes into full yenta mode, I swear,
Oh, okay.
without it explicitly being stated. But the
Okay.
important thing is, and Mindy Cohn has gone on record saying, there was never an episode where Natalie's weight was the thing, where it was, I need to look good, I need to fit into this outfit. It was
Good.
never a
That's
thing.
great.
So that's one of the best things about the series as a whole.
Nice.
But Natalie's not getting anything out of this guy,
No, Ben
which is
is
really
not.
too bad.
Yeah, he's not picking up what she's putting down, which, isn't much, but a courtesy hello, hi there, good to see you, or okay, I have to go now. Boy number
Yeah.
one says we're out of here.
Yeah.
So
When boy number one speaks,
we all listen.
out. So Mrs. Garrett, we often discuss the finer nuances of her subtle performances.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've stated many times, her dramatic work when she is the nurturing mother, earth mother, warm, fuzzy, Charlotte Rae is unsurpassed. But
Yeah.
there are so many times where, because her role is slowly becoming more and more thankless, you can see a lot of broader choices being made just to try and stand out. And things like, after the boys were dispersing, Mrs. Garrett sits down and says, and then afterwards, Ben and I are going to talk food. And she's rubbing her hands together. And it's like, okay.
What's that
And
about,
then-
Mrs. G?
And then she says, this dance is going to be the best one yet. And you can't see. Sarah can see because we're on video. The best one yet have two okay sign hands.
Fingers
two-
flared.
Fingers flared. And on yet, we get a little pop up out of her chair.
Huh.
And it's like, it's
it-
like trying to make something out of nothing and still not getting anywhere, really.
Is she jazzed because she has someone in mind that she wants to ask? And so she's like, oh man, now Mrs. Garrett's gonna get a piece. Is that
Well, I mean, she does down the road.
Okay.
But what I'm just saying is, because the shows so often fixate around the girls
Yeah.
and their trials and tribulations, oftentimes Mrs. Garrett's role is just kind of window dressing, and it's thankless. And it's her show. She is the star of the show. So it's just weird, and we see and we point, there's so many pointing to the ceiling, broad moments, and punching the words, and getting loud, and we discuss it a lot on this show, and
Yeah.
we do get some moments like that here in this, and this was one of them. Always
Okay.
fun.
There it
Now,
was.
the girls start quickly weighing in on what they think about this concept of girls asking boys out. First of all, Joe, not interested. Surprise.
Are we surprised? We are not.
No.
I've seen Joe for exactly like 4 minutes by this point, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Joe is
she's
the
not interested.
tomboy. Remember, Joe is
Sure.
the tomboy.
Okay.
There are people who have been on this show who are like, the lesbian. It's like, no, she's the tomboy. And she does grow up to marry a man and have a family. So it's just the fact that she's dressed in, at one point she is in, I made a costume note. She's in a,
Okay.
yeah, yes, it's a plaid shirt with a denim vest. It is like, whew, girl, Blair is horrified.
Mm-hmm.
She uses the word degrading and
Yeah.
embarrassing. And it's like, girl, but granted, Blair is used to being fawned over and asked out. To her, this
Sure.
is an event that has no reason or purpose in her world. It doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, that she would be so. That alarmed me because I'm like, well, what do you think the boys feel when they ask you out? Yeah.
Exactly.
Where's the empathy, Blair?
Exactly. Tootie is like, oh, it sounds like fun. I think I want to go. And they all like pig pile on her, leap on her, like,
know.
what? And somebody says, I think it's Blair again, that says it's against the laws of nature. It's the man's job to ask and the woman's job to trick him into it.
Okay. I must admit, I did have to take off my 2020 brain a little bit because otherwise the rage monster comes and I'm like, the man's job, the woman's job, tricking. Rah! And I'm like, Sarah, how about you just relax for a minute and watch a show from the 80s that was actually quite ahead of its time and avant-garde regarding a lot of these topics and tough situations. So yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful example of, role dynamics that absolutely do not need to exist anymore.
No. And this is 82. I was alive then. And I remember all the talk of being a modern woman of the 80s. And even Mrs. Garrett does say, there's a joke later. She says, what do you think all of those Harvey's Bristol cream ads were all about? And that was a thing from the 70s.
Okay.
There used to be a time it wasn't appropriate for a woman to ask a man to come over for a drink. But Harvey's Bristol cream, it's downright upright, is what the announcer used to say.
Oh my.
So this was simply an alcohol product that thought, let's play off of the fact that it's the 70s, Ms. Magazine, Gloria Steinem, the feminism movement. Let's try to take an angle here where we can also say something. And certainly it made them stand out from everything else. These ads are, to my generation, they're legendary.
Okay.
So it is interesting that the girls all pig pile on Tootie.
Yeah.
And Natalie takes the angle of, you are ready to sacrifice everything that women have been fighting for, the independence that we and Gloria and Helen Gurley have worked so hard to achieve. And back to, we give notes to the writers on this show, if you hadn't picked up on that yet, Sarah. So, we of the notes we give to the writers, we're going to put in our time machine and send back to them.
Yeah.
The thing is, at some point, why didn't somebody say, this is Gloria Steinem and Helen, this is the feminist movement.
Exactly.
You're acting like this. You're saying this event is flying in the face of feminism. No, this event is a representation of it. Yeah. And no one really laid that out and said, you are being ridiculous.
Yeah, that part went directly against, like exactly what you were saying, went directly against what those women and what we were working for is like, like not having hard and fast role discipline or role gender roles. Dang it, that's what I'm trying to say. Gender roles, that it is more flexible than that. That was, I'm like, ooh, I'm not following. That's not tracking. That's not tracking, honestly.
Yeah. And again, this makes for uninteresting drama, and this would have been a short, boring episode.
Sure would.
If someone just said, well, you're wrong, get the fuck over it. And if you don't want to go to the dance, don't go to the dance.
Yeah.
Get out of my face.
Yeah.
But Tootie thankfully sticks to her guns, and she's like,
yeah, she does.
But I want to go. And she keeps it simple. They keep her response simple. She's not making a statement. She just is like, it sounds like fun, and I want to go.
Yeah.
So I want to go. I'm going to ask a boy, and I'm going to go. And they're all like, how dare you? The Sarah Rage Monster.
Yeah.
So it's, And that's how that scene ends.
Yeah.
And then we go into the next scene where we're in the parlor now, or the lounge. We call it the parlor because it's gayer. And Tootie is on the phone. And Tootie is talking to a boy. And she's like, I'm looking forward to it, Ron. All right, I'll see you at the movies Sunday at 6. And Tootie hangs up the phone and basically says to Mrs. Garrett, holy shit. Whole new worlds have opened up to me.
Yes.
I'm asking boys out. I've got bunches of dates. I'm calling all different boys.
Yeah.
And and it's working. This is the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes,
I love that
right.
she is,
it should be.
she is so into it. I don't love that she lies. Like, there's no one I'd rather see this movie with than you. And then she sees, the joke is that she schedules it twice and goes to the movie. And she's like, oh, I'll just see the movie twice. But I love that she is like, oh my God, I could have been having dates and a nice time on my terms, on my schedule this whole time. I loved it. I'm like, get some Tootie.
Yes. And she's the baby. She's the youngest of them. She's 15.
Oh, then responsibly hang out with boys,
yes,
Tootie.
In a non-sexual but consensual manner.
Exactly, on your terms.
So and Tootie is even keeping a calendar to keep track of it. And she realizes, oh my God, I've invited Kevin and Ron to the same movie. Oh, well, I'm just going to have to see the movie twice. And when Natalie comes in, she looks and she says, Tootie, Jesus, even Warren Beatty takes a break every once in a while.
That made me laugh.
Wow. For those of you who don't know, Warren Beatty, the actor that we now see as that old guy who announced the wrong Best Picture Oscar for La La Land, in his day, he was not just a sex symbol. He was a well-known Casanova. Mm-hmm. He was getting some tail.
Yeah.
And was it Shampoo? Is that the movie where he plays like a hairdresser who is just fucking everything?
I don't know. I don't know.
And that was based on John Peters, the actual later hairdresser turned producer, John Peters.
Didn't know that.
There was a lot of Warren Beatty about that. Like he had a reputation, and it was for real.
Okay.
But to equate Tootie's escapades with multiple dates with boys to Warren Beatty fucking a donut if it had a hole in it, it's like, geez, girl.
Yeah, that was brutal. Just let this poor kid go on some dates and see some boys.
So it is Natalie's spin that they're just going to have a girls' night at home, chilling out, bucking the convention of this unconventional dance. And Mrs. Garrett has an odd line that does not land, I don't think.
Okay.
She says, boycotting the dance is like coming out against E.T. I think the problem is partially using the term coming out. Immediately, our brains go to gay coming out.
Sure. Coming
so
out
I think
against E.T.
E.T. That literally just means nobody didn't love the movie E.T.
Sure. Okay.
And so it's basically saying boycotting that, saying you don't want to be a part of this dance is like saying you hated the movie E.T.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't.
I've just reworded the same joke, and it's still not particularly funny, is it?
Yeah, well, because I understand why people would not want to go to this dance for other reasons, but yeah, I do know that E.T. was the #1 film in 1982. Because I had little E.T. shoes that were my first pair of shoes when I was a baby. I was born in 82. And so I had little purple E.T. shoes. Well, they're basically like little purple booties with a little E.T. stamped on them. They're super cute.
Do you still have them?
My mom does. Yeah. I can.
No.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Your mom still has your E.T. baby booties.
I mean, I think they were my first pair of shoes, so it's important when your baby's first whatevers.
Okay.
So, they had like a poof in them. They had a little poofy fuzzy thing in the shoe to keep its shape for future babies. I don't know. Anyway, another sidetrack, David. This is gonna be 800 hours long. I'm so sorry.
This is what I love. This is what I love.
Okay.
Natalie is on the fucking warpath.
Yeah, she's so energized behind this. So mad.
And she really lays into Tootie again. You're not going to have fun. Blair and Joe and I are going to stay in and eat like animals with no guys watching. And Tootie says, I'd rather eat like a bird with guys watching.
Yeah, it's a problematic little thing.
Yeah. And it's a common convention. It's a common thing. The idea of a woman on a date will eat less so the man doesn't think that she's a glutton. And that's, even I'm aware of that. And it's like, have we evolved, I hope, a little bit more? Now, this is where things start to fall apart.
Yeah.
Blair comes in and she's like, okay, shit's getting real. I was at the library, and everybody is going to this thing.
Yeah.
And if I don't go, the perception will be that I couldn't get a date. And then if I asked boys, they wouldn't go with me. So fuck that. I am going to this
I'm gonna go.
dance. And we have to also point out, I do fashion check-ins. The first half of this episode, we are clearly on a weekend because they're always in street clothes.
Yes.
Blair is wearing a solid teal shirt. She is wearing a magenta vest. And she has on the biggest plaid skirt I have ever seen in my entire life. I want to point out the teal shirt and the magenta vest. That was like 1980s McAities a lot. It was so glorious. Those were the colors of my adolescence. That was like amazing.
Awesome.
So then Jo comes in. I think this is where she's got her lumberjill shirt and her denim vest. And I have to pause a moment. These are the minute little itty bitty microscopic things I have to talk about.
Okay.
When Jo comes in from that door, the background of what is on the other side of that door is a brick wall that is clearly parallel to the audience and covered with ivy. In an earlier episode last season, the brick wall was there, no ivy, and the brick wall was perpendicular to the back wall. So we somehow moved a wing or a wall of this cafeteria building.
Okay.
And we have not yet arrived at the reunion special TV movie they did in 2001, where they go back to the cafeteria. When they do, they found an actual, because I mean this is a sound stage in a in a movie set. They found an actual location that they doctored to look like the Eastland cafeteria set, but it is on the second floor. So we see them walk up a flight of stairs, open the door, and walk into and walk into the cafeteria. And it's like, what is happening? We were never on a second floor. Never.
Never once. How dare you
was
take me
so
to a
weird.
different place?
Yeah, so I just have to point out that this brick wall moved. For those listening, check out the website. I did take some screen grabs, and I will post them. This is the stuff that fascinates me about continuity and all that with the show. So Jo comes in, and Jo was at the arcade, and she just happens to mention, oh, there was this boy there, and he was playing, oh my God, they were playing Tron.
Awesome.
Bless. Tron, all the everythings in 1982 for video game people. They were playing Tron, and he was really good, and they hit it off. She's like, so, it turns out he goes to Bates, so I asked him to the dance.
Neat.
And it's like, what? Huh?
What happened to solidarity, sister?
Exactly. And Blair says something about, you're part of the overall moral decline. Does Blair say that? I don't know. Somebody says that. But those are the words being used. This is the language these girls are speaking to each other. Yeah. And it's like, Jesus. So Natalie's really not happy because at this point, all of her bro-sisters have abandoned her.
Yeah. Oh,
so
no.
When she's like, come on, guys, don't go. And they're like, we're going. And basically, Natalie is left alone in the parlor. And she says, fine, I'm just going to stand here alone with my principles. And then she yells after them, when they refuse your subscription to Ms. Magazine, don't come running to me. And we go to commercial.
Commercial break.
There it is. Now, when we go to commercial on this show, Sarah, this is where I like to do a little getting to know you section and talk to my guest. Let's start at the very beginning and tell me, Sarah, where were you originally born?
I was originally born in Pennsylvania, in Johnstown, technically, and where I got my ET booties. And then I lived in Central PA for my childhood. And
am I right that I affiliate you somehow with Chicago?
Yes, you are. So I grew up in Pennsylvania. I went to college and studied theater and art in the College of Santa Fe in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Went to a weird hippy dippy college in the desert, and it was wonderful and full of odd, lovely people, which are my people.
That's our tribe, girl.
Yeah, yep. That's where we belong, and I'm so grateful for it. There, I really got into comedy. I was one of the founding members of a troupe called Underwear Society, And we were a sketch comedy group. We would have a show every semester, and it just like it emblazed my heart. Is that a thing to say? It is now.
It is now. You just invented it, girl.
And I got to be my own producer. I got to work with friends that I loved. I got to, help write our own material. And then we were doing everything ourselves. And I'm like, okay, this tracks for me because I really hate people telling me what to do. And I was struggling with like traditional performance, just regular kind of plays and musicals and stuff. And I realized like maybe that's where my soul's journey lied.
Nice.
And so that's what brought me to Chicago. A dear friend of mine was like, hey, let's both of us move to Chicago. We'll do Second City and we'll see what happens there. And that's what we did. So I lived in Chicago for 2 years, did the Second City thing, went through the conservatory and all of that, and was one of the founding members of Infinite Sundays, which was a musical improv house troupe for Second City. And that was like, oh, mama, I made it. I mean, I couldn't have made less money. The show had no prestige, but for me, it was a huge feather in my cap.
Pinnacle, yes.
Yeah, it was really special. And I was really happy and honored to be a part of that. And then the Disney train came through. So Disney was having these huge cattle call auditions, and I went to one, was called back a few months later for the Hook and Loop show, for What's Your Problem, which began as an improv show. It was supposed to be an improvised show.
Yes, I was going to bring that out. Yeah, that you were brought to Disney specifically because you were an improvisational comedian and actress, and that's what they were going to build this entire show around.
Yeah.
And then over time, it was clear that the corporation who was sponsoring it didn't quite get what improv was. And over time, it slowly, for lack of a better term, deteriorated into a scripted show with some light interactive moments. But it basically negated the reason why they would bring someone of your caliber and your level of improv expertise.
That's very generous of you. Thank you.
But it was clear. And I was lucky that I was one of the last, I think I was the last cast that trained into that show before it closed.
Yeah.
And so that's where we first met. And then later we did a game show that they did for the, we'll call it the timeshare division of a certain large entertainment corporation.
Yes.
And so there was a group of us, again, people with improvisational background, and they let us host these fun game shows for the people who own the timeshares. And that was so much fun because we had a lot more freedom to play.
Yeah, we did.
And I loved whenever we did that.
We had a lot of freedom and a lot, and people, they really wanted to be there, which was lovely.
We gave out free stuff, we gave out prizes, and we gave out snick snacks.
Yep,
and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I had purple pants.
Purple pants, that's right.
I love my purple pants. Costuming was like, you have other pants. I'm like, yeah. But they're not my purple pants.
So working with you was always a joy and a pleasure. And then in the course, shortly after we first met was when you married your husband, Patrick.
Yeah, my beloved.
And he is a really cool dude.
He is. I love him. He's great.
And his last name is also my mother's maiden name, as I've told you before.
Right.
And I really want to find some connection back in our family trees that somehow makes you and me related now. I want that really badly.
I do too.
And so after your nuptials, you did a few other gigs here. And then remind me, what got you out to Seattle? Was it his work?
Yeah,
was it Patrick's work?
So I was working at all three theme parks. I was at Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld doing what actors do. And
living the dream.
Yeah. Gig to gig, doing it all. And yeah, so Patrick and I, we'd been talking about like maybe leaving Florida. I loved my work. I loved the jobs that we were doing because I got to work with fabulous people like you. It's just like the smartest, generous, lovely people. And it was so great. And I also was like, I'm okay if I leave Florida now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've traveled, like I mentioned, I've traveled a bit, and I knew that Florida probably wasn't my forever place, at least not yet. So
Yeah, so
Patrick,
you've had, that's right, because you had Northeast, you had Southwest, you had Chicago. Now,
yeah,
you've kind of, you kind of have this perfect all 4 points in the middle.
yeah.
You have lived the perfect American life, Sarah.
Well,
As
thank
far as
you.
you've experienced every single locale, climate alteration and stuff. That's interesting. I never thought
Yeah.
of it that way.
Yeah, if you look
But
at the map,
yeah.
it's like all the corners, or a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
corners. And so P Funk was looking for work, and then he auditioned for Amazon. He interviewed for Amazon, and he
Spoken
got the
like a
gig.
true actress. He
Yeah,
auditioned. He
he
put on his best
auditioned.
costume. I mean, suit.
And yeah, so I lived bi-coastally for about 6 months and tried to live in both worlds, and eventually moved full time to Seattle by the summer.
And how long have you been there now?
Uh, it'll be 5 years this summer.
Wow,
I
Jeebus.
know. I feel like I
Cray,
just got
cray.
here.
That is, I feel like you just left. That's
Right?
crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
It's
And
so
now
weird.
in Seattle is a theater town, correct?
It is a theater town. Next to
Mm-hmm.
Normal came out of here. Come From Away came from here.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are those are.
Hairspray did there too. Yeah,
Oh, I think
it's a good.
so.
Yeah, it's an out of town tryout.
I don't do any of it. Um,
But
I'm
perfect segue. What do you do? Tell me
I'm
about your
back in the
theatrical
improv
things.
world. So I work with Unexpected Productions, which is an improvisational theater where we have shows Wednesday through Sunday, and we're located at the Market Theater. So if you know where the Pike Place Market is, or if you've ever seen people throwing fish or the giant flower market. But Pike Place Market is the most photographed place in Seattle besides the Space Needle. And
Oh,
yeah, so that's the theater where I work primarily. And then I also do shows at Jet City Improv, and I work at a chocolate shop.
atta girl.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Yep, living the dream and still performing and improvising and
Yeah.
occasionally getting back to Orlando, and that's great. And I get my dose of Sarah every week in your fabulous podcast. Hi,
Oh,
I think you're nice.
oh, thank
And
you.
give a quick elevator pitch. Tell about what your
Sure.
podcast is.
Thank you. I'm so touched that you listen. Anytime anyone tells me they listen, I'm like,
Oh my God, I'm the same way. I'm like, I know. I'm like, you listen to me?
I
Why?
know.
And it's
You
like,
have a great voice for this, David, by the
oh,
way.
start.
You have a great. I'm like, I want to hear you read a book.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But now to talk about me again.
Back to you.
So, yeah, Hi, I Think You're Nice is a podcast where I talk to a nice person about nice things for about an hour. It's a variety of topics. It's with friends who are, some are performers, some are not, but they're people who are passionate about something. Maybe it's Shakespeare, maybe it's camping, maybe it's golfing,
Hmm.
maybe it's like Joy, our friend Joy, who was a rockette.
Yeah, I
Um,
recommended that she was on my show, and I said, if you want to hear some more crazy Joy Anderson-ness, I directed them to her on your show. That was amazing, that episode.
So cool. I mean, thank you. What I love about it is that my guests get to talk about the thing that they love, and then I just get to relish in a lovely conversation with lovely people. And hopefully
Hmm.
it's people learn a little something. Maybe they laugh. Maybe the whole reason I created the podcast at all was because the world is kind of insane.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, and I can't fix everything. I cannot fix the world. I want to. I want to be out there every day fixing everything that I can. So I take the little steps that I can on a daily
Hmm.
basis. And I also wanted to provide just an hour a week where people can chill and have a nice time. It's not crazy one way or the other. Literally anyone from any walk of life can listen and
Hmm.
hopefully just have a nice time. That's it.
It is and that's what I believe you have created, and it's always delightful. For me, it's just an extra bonus that there are times I'll tune in and be like, oh, I know this person. I know
Yeah.
Chase Paget. I know Ryan Gelotti. I know
Yeah.
Joy Anderson. And that's always That's always thrilling. And lastly, one of the many titles and ways I introduced you is, actress, comedian, improviser. I also called you Happy Pink Girl.
I
Talk
heard
about
and I love it.
how you've dubbed yourself Happy Pink Girl.
So once upon a time at the Orlando Fringe, I wrote a show called Happy Zombie Girl because zombies were all the rage. It was like zombies.
Yes.
Couldn't throw a stick without a zombie reference.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a show called Happy Zombie Girl. And then I'm like, well, I have more material I want to share, and I don't want to be attached to the zombie thing anymore. The makeup, my God. So I just decided to be Happy Pink Girl because pink is my favorite color, and I felt like it embodied the sunshine unicorn vibe that I was going for. So I created a show with Elaine Pahacek, who you also may know, hopefully do. So Elaine also helped compose Happy Zombie Girl and then Happy Pink Girl. And then we did that and we kind of toured it around. Went to Pennsylvania with it, did a run at Mad Cow at their cabaret.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the term you used, the happy unicorn vibe, is that what you said?
Yeah, the happy pink unicorn vibe. That's what I'm
That
going
describes you in a nutshell.
Oh,
that is
thank
you. Perfectly stated, and I think it's very clear as people hear you speak, listening to you here today and on the podcast as well. It's just you are the proverbial ray of sunshine, and I'm so happy to have you here.
You're so sweet. I'm gonna cry. Unicorns cry rainbows. It's okay.
It's okay.
Thank you, David. You're such a sweet pea. Thank you. You're so kind.
It's that. But we need to get back to these facts of life and sort out this Sadie Hawkins shit.
Yeah.
Yes. We have got to figure out what's going on. Now, the second half of the show, we're back in our school uniforms. So
yes,
now
we're
in the school week. So that means we've had a week turnaround. So clearly they were planning the dance on a weekend, and the dance was the following weekend. Mm-hmm. So FYI. We start off the bat with a great joke. Natalie is still stewing. And Tootie comes in and she says, hey, did anybody call? And Natalie says, yes, the phone company, to thank you for reaching out and touching everybody. In Tootie and Natalie's conversation, it's like, well, why don't you call Ben? This is your chance. You could ask him, why don't you just call Ben and see if he wants to go to the dance rather than being such a fucking bitch and feeling all abandoned. And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, paraphrasing a bit. Yeah.
And then Mrs. Garrett does mention that when she was at a planning party, she overheard that Eunice Schramm was talking about asking Ben and asking him to the dance. Eunice Schramm.
That's a tough name.
I want to meet this character so badly.
Oh, Eunice.
Promise, in an improv show, would you please create a character named Eunice Schramm?
I would love to.
I don't know anyone who could do it better than you, Sarah.
Thank you.
But Mrs. Garrett says, why don't you call him and ask him? And Natalie says, I know what he's going to say. Natalie who?
Oh.
And Mrs. Garrett is like, no, I saw how he looked at you. And I'm like, we did too. He didn't look at her. And she said, he didn't look at me. He looked at his shoes. And Mrs. Garrett, this is our Charlotte Ray moment. Mrs. Garrett tells a story of a boy in 7th grade. Mm-hmm. So this story 100% applies to a high school junior. 7th grade story.
Okay.
A boy that was crazy about her, but he would hit her over the head with his book bag. Well, 2 years later, he stopped hitting her and asked her to go steady. Oh.
Oh.
Anyway.
Problems with that, you know?
Ugh.
In 2 years, he stopped hitting me? Goo.
Yeah. And after my bruises healed. And please feel free at any time to join me in my bad Mrs. Garrett impression.
I'm trying to think of how...
I'm not saying on demand, do it now.
Sure.
I'm just saying if you are inspired at any point.
If I'm inspired to do it. Her story bummed me out because I'm like, that is what we like to call toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be, I'm not allowed to have feelings. I'm not allowed to be,
yeah.
To have, what word am I looking to? Feelings.
Express feelings, emotions.
Emotions. I'm not vulnerable. I'm not allowed to be vulnerable and tell you
yeah.
that I like you. I have
Yeah.
to act it out in some other way, and then you have to innately know what my poor physical actions mean. So, like, that part, I'm like, whoa, let's pump the
Yeah.
brakes on that one, and let's learn from this moment. So,
Yeah. As opposed to just saying, there was a time I didn't know if a boy liked me and it turned out he did. This could be the same scenario. Make the fucking phone call.
yeah.
But yeah, this reeked of the caveman hitting the woman over the head and dragging her by her hair.
Yeah.
Kind of a
And
courtship.
also, like, when he stopped hitting me, like, ugh. I
Exactly.
just really hate that because that.
Kiss. What is it? Sometimes he hits you and it feels like a kiss. Or what is that
Nope.
shit from Carousel?
No, no,
I think
no.
it's from Carousel. Yeah, it's a hard no. Yeah,
That's a hard pass from Hanchar over here. Any hoozle. So then who
this
comes
is where
in?
Natalie says, "What if he says no? What if he laughs at me?" In dealing with rejection.
Yeah.
But now the tables are about to turn, Sarah.
How? Tell me
Joe
how.
shows up. She's not going to the dance. The Tron guy at the arcade did so well. He's in a regional Tron tournament.
What?
Because those are a thing that happen, apparently. That's a thing. Sure, why the fuck not? So the good thing is Joe is very matter-of-fact about it. She's not, God damn it, I'm not going to this. She's just like, oh, no, he can't make it, so I'm not going.
And it's almost like she respects him for going. Like, she's like, well, he's really good. So,
Yeah,
like, I
that's
get
right,
that
that's right, they do.
opportunity.
Yeah, somebody even says, what? He's not going to the dance for some tournament? I feel like Joe says, well, yeah, he's good. And again, that's why Joe is so awesome. It's like, but this is his thing, and this is his chance to shine, and there will be other dances. It's
Into it.
We all need to be more like Joe.
Yeah.
We do. Really.
Okay.
Well, Tootie answered a phone call earlier, and she comes back and is like, well, fuck. My date, who I wanted to take to the dance, can't go to the dance.
Yeah.
And the problem is, he had overheard that I was asking one person, and because this is a little borderline, a little problematic, but it was that he had spoken to another boy who already knew he was going out with her, so he figured she was going to ask him. It doesn't quite venture into, you've been asking out too many boys, Tootie, and now this is where
what happened?
This is where the slut shaming comes in. This is what happens when you date too many boys, like a little whore. Like I said, it didn't come to that. It did not come to that, and so I was very happy. So then the last nail in the coffin here is Blair shows up, and Blair is like, well, fuck a duck. I can't get a date to this dance. And the boy I asked said, I waited too long. That the fact that they were doing this protest and sat it out and didn't jump right onto this shit.
Yeah.
The other girls swooped in, and none of the boys Blair had lined up were available. Not through any dislike or any issue with her desirability. It was just a matter of timing. She's like, I waited too long. Fuck. So
and she
of course,
knuckled under and called all of them. So like she faced her, I won't say shame, but like she's like, oh, I don't want to call everybody, but I guess I am, and she did, and then didn't get anybody.
The number 9 boy on her list, she was like, I only want to go to the dance with you, Hobarth, or whatever. You know that she just poured on the charm. But so then Natalie is, of course, thrilled. Natalie is ecstatic. So she is gleefully comforting them and saying, we're just going to stay home and play bridge. We'll have so much fun. Really? Play bridge?
How old
are you
these
80?
children's souls? Like,
how old are the writers? It's, oh my God. We're going to play bridge. Oh my God.
Euchre.
Not Crazy Eights. Couldn't have been Crazy Eights or Monopoly. Mrs. Garrett and Tootie were playing Scrabble earlier. It's like, what?
There are more games.
Bridge. Ugh. Anyway, there was something I had to say. Oh, weird. This is like, I literally, to my 5s of listeners, if anybody understands this, or if you, Sarah, understood something.
Okay.
At one point, in between Joe showing up to say that her beau can't go and Tootie getting off of the phone, Mrs. Garrett walks over and says, I'm not really crazy about this punch bowl. Maybe someone will drop it.
Yeah.
Did it make any sense to you?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
And I do remember that happening and thinking like, oh, boy, she really has it out for this punch bowl that it has its own moment.
I thought it would... I thought sometimes, you go, that was weird, but then it comes back and you're like, oh, I get why that was weird. That was one of those, never came back. There was no callback, no follow-up. So don't know what's going on there. Yeah, but if I find out, I'll let you know, of course.
Okay.
So then next scene, it is Saturday night and the girls are all sitting around. They're all in their, they got their Eton dresses on. I mean, they are in their Uggo pajamas. Complete with Blair with green shit on her face, doing a facial.
The quintessential I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah. And they're playing poker, and each of them has a sleeve of cookies, of sandwich cookies with a vanilla wafer and a chocolate wafer. And each sleeve says 5 cents. Like somebody wrote on the side of the plastic tray that the cookies came in. 5 cents. What?
I didn't notice that. I must admit, I don't remember that.
It's like, okay, at some point they went, okay, we're gonna play for cookies instead of thing. Well, what are the cookies worth? They're worth 5 cents. I'll get the Sharpie. Oh. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, what?
Can't it just be a cookie? You're betting a cookie, and the cookie's worth is a cookie.
I agree with you. I don't get it.
That's so funny.
So then Ben comes in. Ben, the boy, Natalie's the boy that Natalie likes. He shows up, and the girls all duck. Blair ducks underneath the table because God forbid she be seen as a human.
Yes, I know,
and not a full face of makeup. And then Mrs. Garrett comes in. Oh, the subtlety of Charlotte Rae. Batting her eyes. Oh, Ben, I completely forgot you were coming by. And it's like, huh? And then she told Ben to come by to pick up some records to go play to the dance.
Yeah.
And that was the ploy, I guess, on the part, because clearly this was something set up by Mrs. Garrett. Ben turns and says, "Hi, Natalie." And Natalie is kind of like, Homo says, "What?" It's like, what? Huh? Did you just treat me like I was a living, breathing other person? And Mrs. Garrett, again with a subtlety, "Girls, help me in the kitchen with the tablecloths." So they go into the lounge to get him the records.
Yeah.
And Ben says, so Natalie's like, "Okay, I'll go do it." And Ben says, "Well, it's no rush. I got plenty of time."
Yeah.
And she says, "Really?" And he says, "Well, I'm not going to the dance." And Natalie says, "Why? Eunice Schramm was going to ask you." And he said, "Yeah, she did ask me, but I didn't accept because the girl that I wanted to go with never asked me." And he said, and she looks at him like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
And he says, "We would have had a great time." And Natalie
know.
Oh my God, my heart sang. My heart sang. For every, I don't think he likes me. Oh my God, he likes me. It's,
yes.
But she actually says, "Wait a minute. Did you just ask me out?" Wait. And he says, "I can't ask you out. It's a Sadie Hawkins dance."
Yeah.
And she says, "Great, let's go." And she starts to walk out in her flannel nightgown. And then she's like, "Oh, I better change first." Mm-hmm. And then we do get a little bit of it. This is where it's a little bit of it back, where she says, "Why did you never ask me out before?" And he says, "Because I like you. And what if you said no?"
Aww.
It would have been nice if it was continuing. I mean, it's so hard to put yourself out there, and I don't know if I could have dealt with that kind of rejection. To have him repeat exactly what she said would have been the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Just saying. That could have... Moment was lovely. Nothing wrong with it. That could have punched it up.
I was going to say, like, he's actually... I could put my 2020 brain back on for this scene because it really was it was lovely. Like, he was genuine and honest, and and it was a really lovely moment, and we got to see the humanity and nerves of both of them. You know, these young people, like, feelings, gross, scary. So that was a that was a good moment.
And then the episode ends I think lamely.
Okay.
I think it's pretty lame.
How did it end? I don't recall.
She's like, "Oh, I got to change. Wait here." And she starts to walk out. And as the other girls are coming out of the kitchen, she's like, "Move it. I'm going up. I'm going to where are you going? I'm going to the dance." And it's like, what? And they're all, "What happened to staying home? What happened to your principles and women's rights and chauvinistic influence?" And Natalie says, "I'm not going because I have to. I'm going because I want to." And then the applause track starts a little early, and the freeze frame happens of the three girls reacting to her. The freeze frame happens a little late. It's a little awkward. And part of me is like, what did you think about that ending? Well, I have felt to be filled, but you tell me.
Well, for me, I love I want to because I want to, not because I have to. Because I'm like, okay, hell yeah. Because she was being pressured to go and do this thing that she didn't want to do for reasons, of being rejected and all those like totally reasonable reasons. Although she, came at it like a wrecking ball. So I do like that she said, because she wanted to and not because she had to.
Yes.
And I guess I don't know how I would have punched up that ending. I don't know. I'm not good at stingers.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Wander.
No, what I was going to say, not so much that I wanted a joke there. What I wanted was, I don't feel like that the complication of this episode was that Natalie was being forced to go and being told, "You have to go."
Yeah.
It seemed like that when the idea was presented, it was Natalie's insecurities that were giving all the pushback.
Okay.
So I think, while it's a great statement, it is a great declaration. I'm not going because I have to go. I'm going because I want to go. That's not the reason before.
That's not what she'd been talking about. Yeah, that's not the promise of the scene.
At least in the viewing. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd get a different thing. Maybe I need to watch it again. But yeah, that was my thing. So I think the idea is, I feel like they could have gone for an even more pat ending with the, wait a minute, what about all this? What about all that stuff? And she's like, "He likes me. That's all that matters." Duh.
Yeah.
Even that would have been like just the comedy of Natalie abandoning these deep held principles because it's for a boy. That's very on brand for her. Natalie's the boy crazy one.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, which is why it's also a little weird that she was so insecure.
Yeah.
And so, and that her being against the dance was completely 100% stemming from her being insecure about this guy, Ben. And the fact that they hinged so much on Ben, it's like, ask him out. Well, what if he says no? The world comes to an end. No, if he says no, I'm pretty sure there's other boys out there that you could ask. It's not that you would, I don't know. The stakes were made to be extremely high. And I guess that's it. And that's a minor tweak. It's a minor tweak. Sarah, we are at the end of this episode.
We are. Here we are
at the very end. Any last final thoughts about it? Any other things or things that popped out to you before I ask you for your final thing I'm going to ask you to do?
Okay. Well, I must admit, I really enjoyed the show. I love how many women are in it. It's women centered. I mean, this was a lot of women talking about boys, so I'm not sure if we passed the Bechdel test.
No, it doesn't.
But this is 1982. It's a really great show, you guys. I see why you have a whole podcast about it. I am 2 thumbs up for Facts of Life.
Yay!
Yay!
Yep. So the last thing I asked my guests to do is, can you think of a classic commercial from your childhood? Just a commercial that you always loved or liked, completely off the top of your head. There are no wrong answers.
Does a jingle count from my local town?
Do it. Oh, I demand that you sing it for me now.
Snappy's got it easy in, easy out. Snappy's got it what it's all about. Snappy's convenience store. Snappy's.
And that was where in Philly?
This is in central Pennsylvania. This is in Bellefonte, my hometown. I think there
Central
are still a
Pennsylvania.
Snappies. There might be a Snappy or two left.
I will see if I can find some Snappy commercials. I've never heard of them.
It's just a radio jingle. I don't think it ever had a commercial. It's just a radio jingle. But that one's always at the ready if you ever need it.
Okay, good to know. I have you on speed dial for that one when I need it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Sarah, thank you so much for taking time.
You're welcome.
Was that your Mrs. Garrett?
That was my Garrett, but she's a ghost apparently. Ooh, you're welcome.
Avenge my death.
It's a little more forward. How does she sound like she's 1,000,000 years old?
That's got some Katharine Hepburn going on there.
I was gonna say that
like
feels
that.
more Hepburn-y to me.
Yeah, and you're not the first to do that. People do. They'll start and they'll suddenly feel like they're starting to talk like this.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's all
fine.
good.
It's all good.
All
it's what she
lovely.
would have wanted.
Sarah, thank you so much for taking time. We're in 2 different time zones. We're on opposite coasts, and we just made something together.
We made something beautiful together. This was such a joy, David. Thank you so much.
We live in the future, and I'm so happy that you are here with me experiencing it. And I look forward to having you back and getting to guest on your show. And
yes.
let's do more stuff together, just because we can.
We can, we should, and we will.
Yay! But until then,
Fireworks.
goodbye and smooches. Mwah!
Goodbye and smooches. Mwah.
And there you have it. That was Sarah Hanchar. Isn't she the sweetest? No, I shouldn't ask that. That's not a question. It's a statement. She is the sweetest, legitimately. And re-listening to it in the editing, I was just aware of what a juxtaposition it was to have her and her rainbow unicorn brightness counterbalanced by my potty mouth sarcasticness. Good Lord. When James Brendlinger posted on social media that he appeared on my show last week, he did have to put out a disclaimer. He said, David swears a lot, but I don't. And it's true. I never thought of that. James really is not a potty mouth person like I am. And wow, that's 2 weeks in a row that's being kind of highlighted to me about my filthy vocabulary. I don't know if I'm going to do something about it. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, before we go, I did say that nobody in this show pointed out to the girls that the fear of rejection, the putting yourself out there, all that stuff is something that boys go through all the time, and I was wrong. Mrs. Garrett does have a line where she says, it's tough, but guys have to do it all the time. So it is said, it is stated, but my note, I guess, still in the face of that is I still wish it had been punched just a little bit more, that this was a learning opportunity for the girls to understand what boys go through when they are trying to ask out the girls. Anyway, next week I'm going to be watching Season 4, Episode 11, September Song. And my very special guest is going to be funny lady, actress, improviser, Kathy Baker. That is all for this week's show. As always, thank you for listening. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the let's. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.